Halloween
Forever.
Oh boy, Steve, recently I've been, I don't know why, I've been reminiscing about, well, maybe it's Halloween season. Spooky season's approaching. Spooky season's upon us, for Christ's sake. Making me a little nostalgic. I don't know, but I'm thinking about some of the weird jobs I had, as a teenager. I don't know if you had any weird jobs as a teenager. I certainly did.
Sure. I was a security guard at 18, which was kind of weird, but yeah.
Yeah. I was actually a cuckoo inside a cuckoo clock.
Oh, that's crazy.
As one of my jobs when I was a teenager. It wasn't the best job in the world, but it did get me out of the house.
Heyo.
Welcome, boys and ghouls, to a fucking goofy ass Minisode Halloween is Forever. I'm Brian.
I'm Steve.
Cuckoo clock joke, Steve. I know this isn't technically about cuckoo clocks. It's more about the bird, some species of bird. This movie, kinda, not really, but it's the best I could do. I'm not feeling great, Steve. Told you I've been sick the last couple days, and I'm going to complain about it now.
I will say, at least there is a cuckoo clock before we move on to your imminent death. There is a cuckoo clock in this movie, so it's close enough. You got close enough with your joke.
It's as close as I can get, as close as I'm prepared to give effort for. Yeah, I'm on here. I'm gonna complain. My throat hurts. My chest's all congested. My head's all congested. I haven't been sleeping good because I've been taking Sudafed as a nasal decongestant, but then it keeps me up at night. I'm a fucking disaster here, Steve. Busy weekend. But you know what? It is officially late September. It is fall at this point. I believe the first day of fall is what? Maybe is it the 22nd? Is that technically the first day of fall? Something like that.
It's either today or tomorrow. One of them.
Yeah. So whenever you hear this, it is fall. I don't give a shit if it's 90 degrees where you live. It is autumn. It is autumnal. Y'all better be out there drinking them pumpkin beers. Y'all better be out there drinking that PSL, getting in your motherfucking veins. 8:45 tomorrow morning. Yeah, that'll be Sunday morning. That'll be the day before this here minisode comes out. Dan assures us that in the Discord. He assures us that is when autumn is upon us. I'm excited for it. I'm going to watch some football tomorrow. I went to Spirit Halloween today, started putting up my Halloween decorations. I got a couple new graves for my graveyard out in the yard. Needed a couple additional ones that were damaged by high winds last year. They're not real gravestones, guys. They're made of styrofoam. They're decorations. I got a few of those. The kids started shopping for Halloween costumes. Are you getting into that spooky season vibe yet, Steve? I'm leaning into it hard this weekend.
As we are approaching the equinox, I'm ready to equinox the boots of Halloween.
Yeah. Have you watched anything explicitly Halloween? I'm putting on one of my favorite right now. It's on in the background here as we record. I'm watching Hellfest, which is a movie I've been singing the praises of for like the last, I don't know, 8 years or something since it's come out, and this is a perennial spooky season favorite for me.
No, I've been watching a lot of other stuff, just kind of cleaning up my to watch lists because I need to make all that room. So when I do start watching spooky stuff, like I can focus specifically on spooky. I think one of the spookiest things I've watched outside of things for this show was the Crow remake.
It's pretty spooky.
Ooh, hey,
oh,
yuck, big yuck.
spooky on a different kind of level. Spooky in a way that I heard it was just fucking boring.
Yeah, it is one of the most fucking boring movies I've ever watched. I could not believe it.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but bad things. I don't think I've heard one good thing about it. In fact,
and
which
they're
is disappointing.
Right.
Yeah,
this isn't one of those cases where like they put out like a weird avant-garde film and people didn't like an avant-garde, take on something. They just literally made a really stupid and boring movie and it fucking sucks a butt.
Dang it. That sucks because I love me a Bill Skarsgård. Love me a Crow.
Yeah.
The first movie. We've talked about the other Crow movies. We've even watched one or two of them on this podcast. Most of them suck shit, but the first one's great. And this was a remake of the first one, right?
Yeah. It's the thing is the one that we watched on this show with Edward Furlong.
Mm-hmm.
I almost would recommend it over the remake because because the new one is so fucking boring. There's nothing to it. There's nothing. There's like 3 interesting moments in a 2-hour Crow film, whereas the one with Edward Furlong is packed with bafflingly interesting moments because you're just like, what the fuck is this? What are they doing?
Who directed this? Who did the sound design? Who dressed this poor child? I mean,
who
wasn't
decided
a child
this was a good idea?
Who decided to cast Edward Furlong as the Crow?
It's the difference between like just having somebody put their toes in your mouth unrequested during sex versus having sex with a starfish. That's the Edward Furlong Crow versus the new Crow. The new Crow is total starfish, and like fingers and toes is the Edward Furlong one. Just fingers and toes go in places you didn't ask. But
you didn't ask, but whatever. Things happen in the heat of the moment, and you can excuse it. But there's no excuse for just being again, like you said, just going starfish. There's no one likes that. I don't know. Maybe you do. I'm not here to kink shame. Anyway, guys, that is not surprising because I heard such bad things. And ever since I saw some of the still images, it did look like dog shit too. I will not be wasting my money on that one. There's a lot of good stuff to see here, and that ain't going to be one of them, guys. We are counting down the days to Terrifier 3. That is what I'm focused on right now. I understand it's a Christmas movie. I don't give a shit. I am counting the days to Terrifier 3. I've been waiting for it all year long. It comes out, what is it, the 6th or something like that of October?
October 11th.
11th, okay. And I cannot fucking wait. I'm going opening night with that motherfucker. I'm going to put a Santa hat on. I'm going to eat mushrooms, and I'm going to go watch Terrifier 3, probably by myself. I don't know. We'll see. Guys, we're not talking about Terrifier here. We're not talking about the fucking Crow. We ain't even going to waste our time. We're talking about a movie called Cuckoo from 2024, which is raising some eyebrows out in the horror community right now. Super excited to talk about that. We got to do a couple things at the top of the son of a bitchin' show. First of all, Steven, my boy, do you have a beer on you? Are you drinking on something?
I am drinking a beer, and the beer I'm drinking has got me in the season. This is my into the season dip. I believe I had like a fest beer last week, and that's fine. That's September season, but this is full on spooky. It's the Allagash Haunted House, and it's their hoppy dark ale. I've had this last year, but it's been a while, and I didn't remember it being as hoppy as it is. And I was like kind of surprised by it, but it is just apparently just packed full of Nugget and Cascade and Northern
Old
Brewer.
School. Yeah. 3 old school Pacific Northwest hop varieties. I remember having that beer up a few years ago and being disappointed that it was very acrid, very burnt, acrid tasting. Is it still in that department?
Still a little bit, yeah. This actually is giving me flashbacks to the way Great Lakes did Nosferatu back in the day.
Oh, yeah, where it almost was it had acrid and then had that intense grassy hop thing where it almost was like it almost came across a little bit tinny metallic.
Yeah, like I'm getting all of that because the other thing they do is like, because it's a dark ale, they really lean into those like coffee notes. So it's like it's the bitterness of that kind of dark burnt coffee mixing in with that really harsh Nugget and Cascade that it does have that acrid note to it. I feel like if you paired this beer with like the proper thing to eat, which I don't know what that is, you could balance it, but it's a lot.
Almost like something fatty, rich, salty, a salty, maybe with some I don't know, something metallic coating, some Parmesan cheese, something, you know what I mean? Something like salty and fatty and intense. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that's I remember that about that beer because as much as I love Allagash, I do think they're one of the world's great breweries. They do fall flat with hoppy beers sometimes, not all the time, but they do occasionally. Anyway, because we're talking about a German movie. So I was going with one of my favorites, German beers, one of my favorite Bavarian breweries, Einger. We're doing the Altbayerisch Dunkellager. So I got a little 4-pack of Altbayerisch Dunkel, the Einger Dunkellager. Actually was at JR's, and you know this is Oktoberfest season proper. We're in Oktoberfest, right? So for the next at least week to 10 days, I'm going to slug on some more Oktoberfest. Then I'm switching over to pumpkin beers and straight up seasonal shit. But right now, I'm still in the lager category. I bought another 6-pack. Probably should have bought a 12-pack. 6 ain't enough of that Sierra Nevada Fest beer because it's so fucking good. I got another 6-pack of one of my other perennial favorites I get every year, which is the Firestone Walker Oktoberfest. That's their oak-aged Oktoberfest. So fucking good. Not bourbon barrel-aged oak, just subtle oak. Just got a little bit of a woody oak character. Complements those like kind of herbaceous woody hop character they have in that beer. I got also. What is the other brewery that we had that Helles collaboration, right? It was
Von Trapp. You got some
Von Trapp and Stowe, yeah. But this was Von Trapp did a collaboration with another beer. They got another brewery, and I forget which one it is. I haven't had it yet, but a Keller beer. That's another one of those Von Trapp collaborations. So like an unfiltered lager beer. Got some of that. Oh, I got a bunch of stuff. But went to Spirit Halloween this afternoon. Like I said. Had a good time, took the kids, accidentally scared the shit out of like a 3-year-old girl. Felt bad about it a little bit. Me and my kids walking around doing all the little step on the buttons, and then all the little animatronic things come to life and do, jump scares and stuff like that.
Sure, yeah.
And we were just hitting them, and we hit this one, and it was one of those ones that like stands up real high. It's like a spring loaded, like jumps up,
Oh, okay.
And there was like some like woman like holding her like 3-year-old child, and the child lost their fucking shit because it jumped like right into their face. I didn't know they were standing there. Accidentally ruined a child. That's what that's what happens. You bring your 3-year-old to Spirit Halloween, and what's going to happen? Maybe.
Yeah. Look, you just have to take that responsibility as a parent that your kids might get a little bit scarred if you bring them to a Halloween store, if you bring them to a bar. They're just going to see stuff like it used to be. If you took your kids to Arby's back in the 90s, they were going to get secondhand smoke because people just smoked in Arby's. That's what it was.
Yeah, that's what it was about. And Dan said I did it on purpose. And you know what? Maybe I fucking did. You know what? Maybe I did. Maybe I pointed and laughed at the kid afterwards. No, the parents were nice, but they were like, oh, I was like, oh, I'm sorry. They were like, no, you're fine. Anyway, so had a little fun, went to the Spirit Halloween, talked myself out of buying a lot of things, including like a giant, like life-size popcorn gun from Killer Clowns from Outer Space. It's like not the little laser gun like the giant popcorn gun with the popcorn popper on the top. It's like $130. I was like, can't do this. I can't do this. This is stupid. Where am I going to fucking even put this thing? Right. They got a lot of cool stuff. It's like it gets it more expensive every year there. And it's like I see like some little dumb, like Leatherface figurine. I'm like, oh, that kind of looks fun. And then I look at it, I'm like, why is this $18 for this like 3-inch little thing? It's a little much. But it's always a fun experience going there with the kids. We did go over to Michael's as well, looking at Halloween decorations. And I did buy my new favorite Halloween decoration for the year. It is Edgar Allan. It's, I have it currently on the back of my toilet in the main, on my first floor. It is Edgar Allan Poe sitting and reading on the toilet.
Oh, great.
What a great, come on. That's the type of shit I'm into. Spooky stuff, love a Poe, put him on the toilet reading, hilarious.
And
poop jokes, Edgar Allan Poe, love it.
I would love that as like a diorama. If he's just like on the toilet.
It's like that Simpsons episode, The Telltale Heart. Yeah.
Right, yeah. And then like maybe the raven is up on top of like the shower curtain rod looking down at him from the bathtub. And he's just like, I'm just trying to read. Trying to read my Harper's Weekly.
And I got it at Michael's. I think it might have been like $13. I'm like, dude, if this was at Spirit Halloween, they'd have gouged me for $40 for this thing. So, but I was pretty pleased with that purchase. Anyway, guys, if you want to keep up with us throughout the spooky season, because we are getting into the fucking thick of it, boys. We're going into the heaviest part of the spooky season here. We're going to start talking about some dang old spooky season hardcore shit. We got our spooky season showdown episode coming up here in a couple of weeks. We'll talk about in a second. If you want to keep on top of all the bullshit we're doing, and in the future you want to suggest topics to us, maybe you want to just see some spooky ooky shit on the internet, you got to follow us on the social medias at Halloween is Forever on Instagram, at Hallow Forever on the X. Or if you want to send us one of them old-fashioned motherfucking emails, you can do that too. It's halloweensforeverpod@gmail.com. We also have a Patreon. Steve, why don't you tell the boils and ghouls at home what they get if they subscribe to Patreon? Because this is a good time of year to do it.
This is a good time to do it because coming up in October, I'll be doing 31 days of horror, which means every day I'll have a new posting about a movie I watched and why I think it's a movie you should watch for Halloween during the Halloween
I wish we just
time.
ended that just like, and why I think it's a movie.
Yeah, and why I think it's a movie. Sometimes it's not a movie, but I still think it is.
Come play Is It a Movie with your boy Steve.
Yeah.
Most of the time it's a movie, but spoiler alert, sometimes it ain't a movie.
Hot dog, is it a movie? And here's why it is.
Here's why Hot Dog is a movie.
But yeah, we will be doing that. So sign up to get all 31 days of that. But also you can get the last year's 31 days, and you can get on the Discord with all the people that are in here tonight talking about making fun of Brian and his harassment of children, telling us when the equinox is. You can be one of those people too. You want to tell us when the equinox is? You show up. You pay money. You pay money to tell us.
Exactly. That's a benefit that you have to pay for to be able to inform us about things like the equinox. What time is it? When movies come out? That sort of stuff. Yeah, but if you want to chill with us in the Discord as we record, it's always a lot of fun. We always have some friends in here. Makes it a lot of fun. You should join us.
You also get that exclusive monthly podcast because we have one of those going, and it's called Youth Group is Forever, where we watch a bunch of Christian horror movies, and they're awful and they're terrible and they make us all feel bad.
Yeah. They don't make me feel bad, but they are about making people feel bad. They're about making you fear God, and also fear going to hell, and all the reasons why you're going to hell. So we're going to be recording our September episode this coming week, and it'll be released later in the week here by the end of the month. We'll have our September episode of Youth Group is Forever. And then if you do subscribe now, you also get access to our previous Patreon exclusive podcast, which was called Family is Forever. And Steve made me watch all the Fast and the Furious movies, and they fucking suck shitty balls. I hated them. I really can't believe I did it. Like in retrospect, now being like several months, removed from it, we did do it. We talked about all of them. They're dog shit. And now I'm getting my revenge by making Steve watch all these like weird fucking right-wing propaganda horror movies. Anyway, patreon.com/Halloween is Forever. Go ahead and check that out and join us. It's fun. And you know what? If you just want to sign up for October and then fuck off, you can do that. I don't give a shit. I ain't your fucking mom. Do whatever you want. Speaking of Showdown, speaking of October and spooky season, the first Monday of every month, we do a Showdown episode. We have saucy, sweet, spicy content that we put out every damn Monday. But the first Monday of every month, we do what's called a showdown episode. Typically, we have this big ass, spinny ass, motherfucking ass wheel where we spin. There's a million different topics on it. They could be anything from a subgenre of horror to a particular director to a particular performer, whatever, right? We pick 3 of those. We put them out on the social medias. Our social media friends and listeners use a poll to help us pick one. And then me, Steve, and our guests pick a movie associated with that topic. For the showdown episode, we argue about it. Somebody's going to get powerbombed. Somebody's going to get that D'Lo Brown metal chest plate frog splash. And ultimately, one of these motherfuckers is going to take home that son of a bitchin' championship strap for the month. And then whoever wins that gets to dole out a punishment movie on the very next minisode. October, little different. We do it a little different where we have a different wheel, entirely separate wheel with a goddamn son of a bitchin' million movies on it. I think last check, we probably have close to 100 movies on this wheel that are all Halloween themed or take place on Halloween, something like that. We spin that, and each of the contestants, Steve, my boy, me, and also our guest, are going to each be assigned one of those movies, and we got to fucking deal with it. We spun it last week. Steve got Dark Harvest, which just came out, I don't know, in the last couple of years based on a novel that we, I think, talked about briefly. I'm going to be talking about a movie called Baron von Laffo's Halloween Spookathon. I think that was suggested by a listener. Steve insists it was me. I've never even fucking heard of that movie.
I've never heard of it either. I think we have a case that the Wheel of Ween might actually be cursed in some way because...
Oh, the fucking wheels. God damn it. The wheel's haunted. Fuck.
Goddamn Wheel of Ween's haunted now.
God damn it. Every single time we get a fucking Wheel of Ween, it gets haunted.
We never heard of this movie.
I've never heard of it in my fucking life. We do have suggestions that get added by our social media friends and listeners and stuff like that. Nobody will own up to this. I've never heard of this movie. I think it's a fucking gag, but we also might just have a fucking haunted wheel, boys. That sucks. We also have already drawn the movie for our guest, and boy howdy does our guest have a tall order, because our guest is going to have to discuss and defend Halloween 2. Hey, and we're not talking about that Halloween 2 from the original franchise. We're talking about the one from our good old boy Bobby Zombo, Robbie Zed himself. Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is going to have to be defended, which I have gone on record as saying a couple of times that I actually don't hate that movie. So that might help them. I don't know. We'll see. But we promised you this time around that we are going to tell you who the fucking guest is, guys, because we haven't said it before. Oh, yeah. Good job, Ron. I fully endorse, Ron, that you take the plunge and get a Bobby Zombo tattoo.
Get it in the Hellbilly Deluxe font and just have Bobby Zombo written on your arm.
Yeah. And it's the picture of him with the swastika between his eyes, the Manson look from Hellbilly Deluxe. We have a love-hate relationship, mostly love, frankly, from my perspective, with Bobby Zombo on this podcast. Anyway, we didn't tell you who the guest is going to be that's going to have to talk about that their Bob Zed movie. Steve, tell the boils and ghouls at home who our special returning guest is going to be.
Well, I know a lot of people have some ideas about who it should be, about who they want it to be. And I just want to put it to rest. She's dead. Stop asking.
Yeah. Stop asking. Number one, Bobby Zombo is busy. We talked to him. We said, Bud, come on over. Talk about your movie. You have to defend it in the eyes of the Lorb. He said, no, guys, sorry. I'm going to be playing Dracula on repeat at Halloween Horror Nights or Not Scary Farms or something. I can't come. We said, fuck you, Bobbert. So we, people keep saying, well, bring on Meg. Guys, Meg is decomposing in the ground. We cannot do it. Meg has died. She has died, guys. We cannot have her do that. We would love to try. We should at some point between now and the end of the year hold some sort of seance, some sort of ritual. Maybe we can like maybe we can like find her old camper and we can like run one of those little sticky things over it and get enough of her hair where we can do some sort of ritual to try to bring her back from the dead.
Here's the promise I'll make to the audience. I will go and get on Phoenix Online University and I'll take their necromancy courses. I'll figure that out for them. But it's just not going to happen for the showdown.
Yeah,
we'll do the 6-week correspondence course of necromancy, but it's not going to be in time for the showdown. Sorry. Yeah,
sorry, we're busy. Here's what I am now imagining, which sounds very, very fun, is Steve in like a some sort of occult, cloak, robe type thing, doing some sort of ritual with hair and blood and, God knows what else. And then he puts his hand above his head and his robes come up a little bit and you see his socks. He's wearing those University of Phoenix socks from the commercial. That's a commercial for University of Phoenix, guys. The necromancy course, specifically the dark arts department at University of Phoenix.
Online.
It's all online. It's University of Phoenix. There's no campus. Where are you going to go?
No,
there's no campus. Anyway, guys, Steve, tell him. Yeah. So it's not Meg. She's dead.
It's not Meg. So the guest, he is a returning guest. Mm-hmm. He's been a part of the Wheel of Ween before.
Oh.
He's gone by many names, including Bigfoot, Big Top, and now I can only assume he's going to be Big Pump, as in the Big Pumpkin, or also the Big Pump Ben, depending on how he wants to take it.
Big Papa Pump.
That's right, Ron. Oh shit, it's that boy Ben.
Here come that boy. Here come that boy. It's Big Top Ben, a.k.a. Big Boy Ben, a.k.a. Big Top Ben, a.k.a. Big Papa Pump, in parentheses, Kin Ben. Guys, Ben's going to come on once again. Our old pal Bigfoot Ben's going to come on for the Halloween showdown. It was so much fun last year. We get some spookies. We get some spicies. And honestly, maybe we try to resurrect Meg as well simultaneously. That might be worth doing. All right, look out for that. Our October Showdown episode coming up pretty damn quick. Again, we're talking about Dark Harvest. We're talking about Halloween 2, and we're talking about an apparent movie that may or may not exist, Baron von Laffo's Halloween Spookathon. You got a couple of weeks to go watch them, boils and ghouls, so go out and find them and watch them and get prepared for a fucking slobber knocker, just like we have a motherfucking barn burner for this Halloween season. And even after that, all Halloween season long, we're going to be doing spooky, ooky stuff. We're going to be talking about Halloween stuff. We're going to be talking about festive stuff. We're going to talk about all kind of good ass shit. Let's get into this fucking movie. Steve, anything else we got to touch on before we get into this?
Good to go.
Like I said, we're talking about a movie. This is written, directed by one Mr. Tillman Singer. I came into this with fairly high expectations because I watched another movie by this old boy. Only 4 writer-director credits. He's writer-director of I believe all 4 of these movies. I had seen, well, now 3 of them. But in 2018, wow, I can't believe it's already been 6 years since this movie came out. But there was a movie that, I don't know if it was a Shudder exclusive, but it was like pretty early after, like within the first year or two after Shudder was launched. A movie called Luz, L-U-Z, in 2018. And he was the writer-director of that. You can see so much of what was like the seeds that were planted in this movie that came to fruition with Cuckoo here. I really liked that movie a lot. It was strange. It was confusing at times. It kept you guessing, and it was very, very fucking cryptic. It was a much smaller movie, I will say. Most of it took place in like, a couple of sets, a couple of spaces. but it was about, I'm trying to remember. I only watched it that one time. Maybe I watched it twice, but it had to do with a cab driver, and they're kind of doing some weird metaphysical shit and like reenacting a murder or something. I don't know. It was pretty fucking cool though, and I remember liking it quite a bit. Well, same writer, same director. So for this movie here, Cuckoo. So I was pretty excited about it. Steve, going in, what were your thoughts? Did you know anything about this movie? Did you have any impressions?
So I knew about Lose, and I wanted to watch it before we did this episode, but I just didn't get the time to. So, but I still will probably watch it and look out, because I'll more than likely do that as a write-up for 31 Days of Halloween this year. But, other than that, like I was aware of like kind of the general vibe that Tillman Singer puts out of being just kind of like a stripped down analog kind of vibe that he puts out. And then that's what I got out of Cuckoo. It's a lot of analog callback to like the 90s is what it feels like, and it's something that we're seeing a lot of in trend today. There's a lot of analog core. This feels like Institute core in a way.
That's a good point. And so does Lose a little bit. Not quite as so much, but yes, it definitely does. Yeah.
So like Long Legs has that kind of analog core to it, but it's also just set in the 90s. Whereas Cuckoo is present day from all that I can tell, because they have cell phones.
Yeah.
So yeah, they have cell phones. They have translation technology of text to speech. So yeah.
It's weird. It kind of does this thing where it's modern, right? But then also the weird isolated setting makes it feel a little bit like everyone else is kind of could be from the early 90s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It
feels like
setting.
everybody's stuck out of time. It feels like, it's generally desolate, because even though we're set in a hotel, we almost hardly see anybody else. It's like a hotel resort. You don't see anybody really. And then just, it's a lot of solid colors, a lot of analog machines, in the background. And it's something we're seeing with, let's see, Severance, that show on Apple TV with Adam Scott. Like Severance is like this Institute core, Flux Gourmet that you turned me on to, has that Institute core to it. So yeah.
Yeah. This also has a very unique aesthetic, which you see a little bit of in Lose. In addition to the Institute core, it's also got a degree of eccentricity, I'll say, like bordering on whimsy, that I kind of took as like if Wes Anderson presents his rendition of The Brood and or like an episode of the X-Files directed by Wes Anderson. It's not that quirky, right? But it does have that little bit of like I said, eccentricity bordering on whimsy. And it's German, we should say as well. So it's got a particular, a very specific, shall we say, continental flair to it. The cast is fan-fucking-tastic. Specifically, Hunter Schafer, who plays Gretchen. She is, I think, fucking tremendous in this movie. I didn't know her from anything else besides, like, I read some of the things that she had been in. She's fairly new, like in terms of not a ton of credits. Apparently she was in the Blade Runner 2099 miniseries, which I did not watch. Oh, okay.
That's not out yet.
Sense.
That's why you didn't watch it.
Yeah, I don't. I was going to say I did not. I missed that. She's in that. And then another person that I did recognize, Dan Stevens, who plays Koenig in this movie. There is something else I know him from as well. He's got a lot of credits. I think probably it looks like his biggest credit is Downton Abbey. He plays Matthew Crawley in 25 episodes of Downton Abbey. But there is something else. He was in...
you know him from Abigail. We did that
Abigail.
earlier this year.
Yep. Abigail, he is. Thank you. I was going to say, what is the other thing? I was getting down through it because he was in an episode of Cabinet of Curiosities, Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities, which I watched all that. But that's not what I'm thinking of him in. I'm thinking of him as the cop in Abigail. And he is a completely different character in this. And the more I see this guy, the more I think he's fucking great. I remember us talking about his performance being a bit of a standout in that movie too.
He's, I mean, you wouldn't necessarily recognize him from Cabinet of Curiosities because he's in the episode with Kate McCucci, who is going through like she's buying all that cosmetic stuff, and he is the cosmetic salesman. But he, in that role, he's so unrecognizable from the other two roles that we're talking about. Which is so unrecognizable from his role in the King Kong Godzilla movie. Like this dude's great at just like taking on like a personality, and like it's hard unless you know his actual credits. You're not gonna ever pick him out. Like you're gonna pick him out and you go, I like that guy. I don't know who that guy is what you're gonna do a lot. Yeah.
Kind of sometimes a pitfall of being just a really fucking great diverse actor. It's like you just become unrecognizable in things. But holy shit, this guy rules. I'm excited to see him in more stuff. Actually, I'm going to take a minute to look if he's got upcoming projects, because he has been very impressive to me, and I will absolutely check out stuff that's coming up from him. He is in Solar Opposites, doing voices in a TV series. I don't know what it is. Post-production, he's in The Ritual, The Terror. Oh no, yeah. So
is The Ritual a remake? Is that a remake?
That's what I'm wondering.
No, it doesn't look like it is. No, it looks like an exorcism film. Okay.
I am very excited about this, and I might be the last person to hear about this, but I have been watching The Terror on, I believe it's on Netflix. It's a weird cosmic, very Lovecraftian period piece, right? Type of
that first fucking season's amazing. I've seen it.
It's so good. And I it wasn't streaming anywhere for like 2 years.
It was because it originally came out on AMC. It was an AMC show, but it doesn't I think it was on Shudder for a period of time, because I know they had season 2.
It was everywhere for a second. It was like everywhere for a second, and then all of a sudden it was nowhere. And when I finally got turned on to it, somebody was like, "You got to watch this," and I it was too late at that point because it wasn't anywhere. And then all of a sudden it popped back up. So I've been watching it. I'm probably 5 or 6 episodes into it. It's fucking great. Anyway, I'm learning just right now live that it does appear to be next year they're releasing another season, and he's in it.
Yeah.
So I am horned up for that, dude. That series is fucking so good. We're just going to do this whole episode about him, but I don't give a shit. The Terror, The Ritual, we just said. You looked at The Ritual. The Ritual isn't anything associated with the movie that came out a few years ago.
No.
Among Us, TV series, 1 episode, 0 Day. Those are all like he has 6 things that are upcoming. So we're going to see a lot more of this guy. The Terror is going to wet my Dan Stevens whistle, if you will. Anybody else from the cast that you want to call out?
No, I didn't really recognize anybody else beyond Hunter Schafer and Dan Stevens. I did want to mention, though, like you said, Hunter Schafer, she doesn't have a lot of credits at this point. She mostly got famous off Euphoria, but I did just see her in the Yorgos Lanthimos film, Kinds of Kindness. She has
I saw that on her thing, but I've not watched that. I don't know what that is.
It is, man. I don't know how I can suggest that one to people. Like I liked it. And if you like Yorgos Lanthimos, you might like it, but it is like you go into it and it's an almost 3-hour film and you go, Jesus Christ, I'm sitting down for a 3-hour film. What do we got going on here?
I'm like 85% out already. You know me.
Right.
2 hours is a stretch for me.
But he didn't actually film a 3-hour film. What he filmed was 3-hour-long films and then just released it as one big movie, because there are a lot of themes tied to each other. There's a lot of running themes, but it's 3 separate movies that just star the same cast over and over, playing different roles and telling a different story.
Fun.
Yeah. So like there are definite breaks. Like there's even like little credit rolls in between the movies. So you get definite breaks. So it's much more of, you watch one, you watch another, you watch the third, and then you go, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I would watch that. Would be more digestible than to me than a 3-hour movie. There, I could name like maybe 3 movies I've ever watched that were north of like 245. That I was like, yes, that's awesome, and I'm glad it was that long. There's hardly any. There's just so few.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's especially daunting because like when you get 15 minutes into Kinds of Kindness, you're like, how the fuck do they extend this for? Like, how is this going to last 3 hours? What are we doing?
You know, when people do it and they do figure out how to make a movie that is paced well and keeps your attention for that long, it's all the more impressive. But it just is so infrequent that happens. I will tell you, this movie, which was like, this was like a good 240, wasn't it? Cuckoo.
It's an hour 40.
Or I'm sorry, hour 4. That's what I meant. I'm sorry, hour 40, which is like bordering on a little long for a horror movie for me. Like once it gets up north of an hour 40, I'm like, does it need to be this long? We've talked in the past, like my ideal is between 1 hour and 26 minutes and 1 hour and 34 minutes. Above 140, I'm like, does it need to be this long? This was great. Honestly, this was paced beautifully. If this was 10 minutes longer, I wouldn't have minded.
Yeah.
Usually when I see above an hour 40, that's my like, now I'm going to start to question it. And then once you get to 2 hours, I'm like, probably doesn't need to be that long. But there are a lot, especially, bigger studio releases that come out now that obviously are that long. Let's jump in a little bit to the plot in this movie. Obviously, we're going to spoil the living shit out of it. So if you haven't seen it yet, and you intend to, spoiler alerts, because we're going to spoil this sumbitch. Quite a fun kind of little mystery here. The thing I loved about this is they give you just enough for you to like kind of think you probably know what's happening a little bit, but it's still confusing and disorienting and keeps you guessing about, what kind of nonsense is happening. The beginning, extremely vague. You have no idea what's happening. You're overhearing like a heated domestic argument, right? And you are seeing some shadows of people yelling at each other, whatever. And then cut up to upstairs, and there seems to be, I don't know, a child, a teenager, something like that. And I can only describe it as this person is having a bad time. This person, I don't know if they pizza when they were supposed to French fry, but they are having a bad time. And they are just kind of having some sort of little, which we learn later is some sort of like seizure. They're just having a little bit of a fit. She ends up you're rolling out of the house. We start to hear something. It's some sort of like screeching type thing, type sound. And we're not sure if it's coming from somebody, if it's like diegetic, or are we supposed to be hearing it? Is the character hearing it? You're not really sure. But this person who was having a bad time upstairs in their PJs just goes tearing off out through the garden gate and out into the woods. Of course, we have no fucking idea what's happening at this point. You start to get this like cryptic conversation from somebody who you don't know who it is about like talking about the young ones and mothers and nesting and all these like vaguely birdish terminology. And then you get a title screen. So like, and the movie is of course called Cuckoo. So you're like, oh, maybe there's bird things happening. I don't know. I will tell you, I went in not knowing jack shit about the cuckoo bird species. So I was in the dark. I thought this was going to be, I didn't know anything about this movie. And we talked about this before. I was trying to not watch any type of anything that would spoil or give me any hints about what it was about. I thought it was going to be about motherfucking cuckoo clocks. Like I thought it was going to be something about cuckoo clocks. Steve, did you know anything about this, or were you familiar with the cuckoo as a species of bird that gave you any indications of what was going to happen?
Nah, it was one of those things like when they revealed it at the end, it would kind of like triggered a thing like, oh yeah, I do remember that's a thing that a bird does.
Yeah.
But I didn't remember that it was the cuckoo bird. I didn't remember I was like, oh yeah, I've heard birds that do that, but I didn't, you know, it wasn't a thing where there was only like one point in this movie where I was slightly ahead of it.
Yeah.
And it involves one of the characters. I was slightly ahead of the characters in the movie, and I go, oh, I know what she is. And then, but like, other than that, like, yeah, the because I didn't remember that thing about the cuckoo bird, everything else kind of rolled itself out, you know, in a like satisfying, natural way. So like it was a good. I was in the dark for most of it, which I enjoyed.
Yeah, same for me for sure. There was like when it was revealed what was happening, I was like, oh, okay. I kind of like vaguely had an understanding that was a thing, but. So we get introduced to Gretchen early on. She's riding with two guys who appear to be movers. They're driving like a moving van, or truck or whatever. And her parents and sister are in the car in front of them. We start to get these pieces together. Gretchen is this angsty, teen, right? I would say she's 17. I think we come to learn later. Her sister has some sort of, speech issue. We're not really sure the nature of it, but she does not speak. We later learn that she speaks via like a voice app on her phone. We learn that her dad, Louis, is learning German. So they're in Germany. He is not from here. He's British. She is not. Gretchen, she was raised in the United States with her mother, who we learn over the next 5 minutes has passed away. So that is why Gretchen is with her father. She lived separate from her father in the U.S. Dad lived in England and had remarried a woman named Beth, who has the daughter who doesn't speak. The daughter's name is Alma. And now she has been, I don't know if it would say forced, but circumstances have resulted in her going to England to live with her father. And now what seems to be a temporary work arrangement at first, Beth is an architect. Beth has designed some sort of resort for some rich, eccentric German gentleman. And this happens, they don't say specifically, but it appears to be in like in the Alps somewhere.
Yeah, I believe they say it's in the Bavarian Alps.
Yeah. So it's in the Alps. I would assume, somewhere not terribly far from like Switzerland. And they are up and it's summertime, right? You get the idea. It's summertime, perhaps even spring. So it's a little warmer. And this town, which would have been, I would assume, a ski resort, and it's also a nature reserve, is all but empty, right? This would be the off season for them. We kind of come to realize. And Beth is there to design and build a second resort for this eccentric gentleman, which we come to learn his name is Herr Koenig, Mr. Koenig. Koenig is very interested in Beth and very kind of dismissive of Louis, and really everyone else for that matter, besides Alma and Beth. Gretchen, being an angsty teen in a band kind of thing, she's just kind of a dick to everyone a little bit. She doesn't want to be there. She's obviously dealing with grief and everything, and depression likely from her mother passing. And you don't learn how the mom died, but the mom is dead. And Beth is her stepmom, and Alma is, of course, her half sister, which there's a tenuous relationship there at best. We get this like really quick, like creepy scene in a bathroom stall. It doesn't really tell you much, but like somebody's like shaking on the bathroom stall door when Gretchen's in there. Just like, there are threats about, right? We get introduced to Dr. Bonomo. who Dr. Bonomo, and even that name sounds like a Wes Anderson character.
Right.
It's so strange. She is the local, like, what did she say? Like chronic disease expert or something like that. And she runs the local little middle of fucking nowhere town hospital. And we get the vibe right off the bat that Koenig has told her everything about the family, but not about Gretchen. So they are all very thrown off that Gretchen is there. And you get the idea that Gretchen is perhaps putting some plans that they have in jeopardy or something like that. But they are all kind of like trying to pretend that they're happy that she's there, but are clearly she's adding complexity for them. But we don't know to what degree and why and how and in what way. Gretchen has this thing, and this is a reoccurring thing throughout the movie, where as for like kind of like almost like her journal, if you will, but like ultimately a connection with her mom. She calls her mom's like voicemail, or I think it's actually an answering machine.
Yeah.
She calls her mom's answering machine to hear her voice, but then also like leaves messages about things that are happening. So it's kind of her way of like communicating with her dead mom a little bit.
It's an interesting reoccurring thing that she does. Mm-hmm. And it ties into like the rest of the film, because it like the whole film has this concept of cycles. You know, like we complete certain cycles and we get stuck in doing certain cycles. And because she is stuck in doing this cycle of calling home to her mom, then you get like this just reoccurring pattern that she can't move on. And then it's reinforced by these other, cycles of rebirth and cycles of evolution and cycles of, time throughout the film in the
and
plot.
Like adolescence, leaving the nest literally and figuratively, right? Like becoming your own independent adult and not being connected to your family or not being as dependent on your parents specifically, that sort of thing. Anyway, kind of to get her out of the way, but also to keep her busy, Koenig offers her a job. So while her parents built a new resort, she's going to work as, basically at the front desk of one of the hotels. There's kind of some little funny things of like her being like awkwardly introduced to the job and how it works and, how to operate this like very kind of lo-fi hotel environment. She gets this thing like during quote unquote training with the standard, everyday part-time receptionist or host or whatever, I guess, named Beatrice. This guest woman walks into the lobby and is just ends up puking on the ground. And Beatrix says like, "Oh, that happens," kind of thing. Just acts like it's kind of somewhat normal. She seems very disoriented. She just barfs.
Yeah. You said earlier, this feels like if Wes Anderson presented an X-Files, and it feels more like if Wes Anderson presented a Twin Peaks.
I almost said that. I actually had Twin Peaks off the bat, but then I was like, yeah, it's not as comical as Twin Peaks, but yes, you're right. It does have Twin Peaks-y vibes. It feels like instead of everyone in the place knowing what's happening except for one character, it feels like no one really knows what's happening except for one character, and that character is not the main character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in Twin Peaks, it always feels like it's like a conspiracy. In this instance, it feels like it's just a mystery that maybe only one person knows, but maybe not. There's the cop and stuff. Yeah.
Like there are people who know, but they're still just kind of like dullards and like not interested in, putting things out there. And then like Beatrix, she just accepts things as face value. It's like, oh yeah, just people come up in the high altitudes and they vomit. That's what happens sometimes.
Yeah. There is like one overarching dude here who knows what's going on and is the source of all the creepiness, which we know immediately already is Koenig.
I do like that they just didn't even waste any time in trying to throw you off the scent that he's a creep, because one of the first interactions he has with Gretchen is like he puts his hand on her shoulder and then caresses her back all the way across, like as he circles around her, and like is very insistent on not calling her Gretchen but pronouncing it in the proper German, a Gretchen. He's like Gretchen.
Yeah. He is an unwieldy gentleman, but also it does feel like everything is just kind of like not necessarily his number one priority. He's just kind of the hotel and all the minutia that's associated with it is almost a bother to him.
Right. Yeah. This is just a thing. It's a front. I mean, that's the trick behind it. Is this is all a front. Him having Gretchen work the front desk is just a way to keep her out of the way, keep her busy. She is not working on anything that is associated with what the real work is. And, it's a bother for him to actually have to deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Beatrix and Koenig are like arguing about her night shifts because Koenig does not want Gretchen to work past 10 o'clock because she has a bike and Beatrix has a car, and she doesn't want her riding, on the windy roads at night. But you get the idea. There's another reason why he doesn't want Gretchen out, after dark, but we have no idea what's happening at this point. We also see there's some like weird other guy hanging around. We don't really know who he is at this point. We get this scene where Alma is like creeping into Gretchen's room while she has her headphones on and is playing her bass. And while she's playing her bass, there's this like the screeching sound happens again. And Alma, has kind of a bad time again. She starts doing this weird like seizure situation. There's this like weird like looping effect that happens where like span of maybe 2 to 3 seconds replays itself. For those who are like hearing that sound, we're not really sure at this point what happens, but eventually Alma like scratches Gretchen, and that's like this kind of scene like culminates in that like Alma had this little freak out. So Gretchen ends up swapping with Beatrice the one night because she's going to go see her boyfriend or whatever. And even though Koenig doesn't want her staying late, she's like, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go, I'll stay for you, whatever. All of a sudden a guest shows up. Her name is Ed. She's French. She's into music, and her and Gretchen immediately are kind of, flirting, I will say. As they're talking, another guest walks in and pukes in the lobby again, like the other person, and then chugs a can of soda or something or sparkling water, and then just wanders away. And Gretchen's just like not...
Pounds a can of Tab.
Yeah, she's just not into the whole thing, right? The phone rings. It's Koenig. And he's like, what the fuck are you doing there? Where's Beatrix? She's like, oh, she's gone. I'm staying here. It's totally okay. I'm going to ride my bike home, whatever. He explains that you need to lock the doors right now, and he's coming to pick her up. And she just basically dismisses him, even though he seems very distressed. She's like, no, I'm good. I'm going to ride my bike home. And she just kind of hangs up. By the way, Gretchen has this butterfly knife that she carries around with her, like a straight up, Jets and Sharks style butterfly knife, fucking soda pop, pony boy type butterfly knife. And this is like something she carries around with her all the time.
You get this real sense that she like, you don't necessarily know where they came from, but it really feels like she came from like 1992 Brooklyn, because she has these giant headphones that she's always wearing. She has a butterfly knife, and she's wearing like a windbreaker at all times. So it's like she feels like she might stick you up in an alley. If she like as like or you would see her at the Ninja Turtles You would see her in the Foot Clan hideout.
Yeah. As soon as you walked into the Foot Clan hideout, she would come by on a skateboard and hand you a carton of cigarettes. You'd be like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of Gretchen's vibe. She closes up, gets on her bike, starts heading home. Just as she kind of pedals away from the hotel, Koenig flies up on his bike. Or not on his bike, in his car, like peels out, like flies up there like desperately as she's riding away on her bike. She's biking down this windy road with her headphones on, which is, fairly at night, fairly stupid idea. You start to see great scene where off in the distance, there's like these kind of bungalows type like cabins along the side of the mountain that are like little guest bungalows, right? You see a person start running from one of the bungalows through the woods, like parallel with Gretchen, probably, maybe 75 yards off. Great creepy scene of this person, like kind of sprinting in a almost supernatural way. Right.
Yeah, you can literally see this up in the Poconos anytime though.
Mm-hmm. Just someone sprinting through the woods like that.
Yeah, between the bungalows up in the Poconos, somebody got high off fucking galaxy gas and started running through the woods naked.
Started sprinting through the woods, just spraying diarrhea all over the woods. Meanwhile, Koenig gets out of his car and is like walking around the property, and he just pulls out a recorder, starts playing a recorder. And you're like, what the fuck was that all about? So you're very lost as to what's happening at this point. Now you're kind of seeing things from Gretchen's perspective on her bike. Again, she's got her headphones on, and you see this like her as she's going under the trees on this road, like pedaling pretty quickly, but like, she's just cycling along, and you see her shadows with the trees as she goes over top. And then you start to see like a shadow that is like, seems to be running behind her and is very close to right behind her on her bike, which is a very cool scene. And she looks back, and you see this crazy woman, psychotic looking lady with big like sunglasses, like running and keeping up with her on the bike. Gretchen starts freaking out, obviously, pedaling faster. This woman's like keeping up with her. Eventually she pulls away a little bit, as she's coming down the hill, she gets to the hospital and like barely runs, bangs on the door, hits the intercom. They open the door. She finally gets in to the hospital just before the woman like kind of catches her. She ends up like trying to run in her desperation, not realizing there's a second door, banging her head off of it, splits her head open. So now she's a little disoriented. And finally, like a nurse comes down and is like, bitch, what are you doing? Of course, no one saw crazy sunglasses lady. And the cops, or an ambulance, I forget what it was, like show up right behind her.
Mm-hmm.
So cut to like the examination room, like in the ER or whatever. And she's getting staples in her head. Pretty wild close up shot of staples going into someone's forehead. But these two, I don't know, weird ass Alpine backwoods fucking German cops are interviewing her, and they seem to be kind of molding her story intentionally about this woman that you saw. And she's just like disoriented. She's like, whatever, dude, just like, write down what you got to fucking write down. Like, obviously she's a little distraught and she's getting staples in her head. Meanwhile, she's going out after she gets the staples. Her head's all bandaged up. She runs into her family at the hospital. She's like, what's going on? Alma's getting checked out because of the seizures, and they don't know what it is, but like the creepy doctor, fucking whatever her name is trying to suggest that it's because Gretchen is there, basically blaming it on Gretchen. Like these seizures could be prompted by like some sort of dramatic change in like her living situation, some anxiety she's experienced because of that or whatever. So they're kind of trying to pin the reason why Alma's having seizures on Gretchen, and they're just kind of don't fucking care about Gretchen. Like the dad is like almost bothered by the fact that she's there, and Gretchen's getting real bummed about the whole situation.
Yeah, it's like a real telling look from the doctor, and then the father looks at Gretchen as well and gives her the kind of the same look, and then like immediately is like looking down because he's ashamed. He's ashamed that he's acknowledging the idea that she is the problem.
Yeah. So Gretchen calls her mom again, does the whole voicemail thing, and basically says, like, I'm coming home. This is fucked up. I got to get out of here. She decides she's going to steal money from the hotel, you know, get on a train and fuck off, basically. Meanwhile, as she's literally getting, like, stealing money out of the register and getting ready to fuck off, the cop comes, you know, which we realize the weird dude that we didn't know who it was, pops in. His name's Lando. He's apparently a cop. And Gretchen just tries to blow him off. And he's like asking her questions. Meanwhile, Ed shows up, you know, as she's trying to blow off Lando. And Gretchen gives her room for free. He's like flirting with her. And cut to they're like making out outside. And basically Gretchen's like, let's fucking get out of here. I'm going to bail with Ed because I need to get the fuck up out of this situation.
And smoking. Don't forget smoking. That makes it cooler.
Yes. Yes. Doing just like cool lesbian stuff, like making out, ripping cigs, you know, talking about music, whatever. Beatrix shows up and Gretchen is obviously gone and emptied the cash register and left with Ed. But they're already down the road, right? They're driving to Paris. Like I said, Ed's French. She's like, hey, we're going to Paris. The weird little repeat thing starts happening. The looping thing starts happening. And Gretchen is having this like kind of weird, you know, so it's like this shaky, like deja vu almost effect where like, again, like 2-3 seconds just start repeating themselves like a phrase that Ed is saying. And then eventually you see this weird little zoom in scene that you start to see every time this kind of phenomenon happens that looks like some sort of little vibrating something inside a body. At first, it's like this almost internal view of like some sort of little organ, almost like a little heart beating or some other type of like little internal organ or body part like pulsing. Or fluttering or something. And you're not really sure what it is, obviously, at this point. Cut to, there's a woman in the road. Ed swerves the car, rolls the car down over the road, you know, off the side of the road, flips it over. They wake up upside down in the car, all fucked up, bloody and battered. And you just see legs coming towards them from Gretchen's perspective, like hanging upside down. Ed's body is like outside the car. The crazy, you assume the crazy glasses lady is stomping up, grabs Ed's body, throws Ed's body like 50 feet. So she's got super strength. She's super fast. What the hell's wrong with this person? Reaches in for Gretchen, and then gunshots happen. And we cut to, you know, her waking up in a hospital when Koenig's there, her family's there, and Gretchen's all banged up.
I had the note when the gunshots go off. It's just like, go on, get Doris Day. Go on, Doris Day. Get out of here.
You get.
You leave these fine lesbians alone, Doris Day. Get out of here.
Yeah. Hey. Yeah. Yeah, so Koenig is like talking some, I don't know, some weird like metaphysical BS, kind of threatening Gretchen that she's going to be in danger or something, or being stuck in a loop. It's very cryptic, but he's you know, she's disoriented, so I think we're kind of meant to be confused and disoriented by what he's saying as well. Now Dad walks in and Koenig leaves. And Dad, who's Lewis, is basically says like, you're staying in the hospital. I'm leaving, and I got to go take care of, you know, my other daughter and my wife, and you're fucking everything up. He like lashes out at her about his stress and her behavior, and like she, you know, stole money and left with a stranger, and like she's making this all very difficult, and she's Gretchen is feeling obviously very abandoned at this point. Like her dad doesn't want her there. She's feeling very alone, very abandoned. Another message on mom's machine, right? She's kind of, and at this point, she's banged up. She's got like a head injury. She's got her one arm is in like a brace, like her arm's broken, assumedly. So she's in a pretty bad place. She does find the hospital room where Ed is, and Ed is still alive. Meanwhile, Lando comes in and tells Gretchen that he saw the woman in the glasses and believes what she saw, and she's not crazy and needs her help, to find whoever this woman is. And basically says, like, if you help me find this woman, you help me, I'll take you wherever you need. We just need to keep it a secret. So we know there's a little bit more to Lando's story at this point. So he explains that it's tied to one of the bungalows, they believe. They call it what do they call it? The love nest or something like that. Lover's nest or something like that is one of the bungalows. And I guess couples get like visited by that woman there or something. They don't know. They get hypnotized or something. One person like died after, choking on their own vomit, after some weird incident that happened there. They don't really know, but they were all staying, that had some sort of weird happening. They were all staying at this lover's nest. So they decide they're going to stake out the lover's nest, Lando and Gretchen. The guests in the lover's nest are Beatrice, who's the other person that works in the hotel with Gretchen, and the one weird cop that was like trying to get her to change her story. And Beatrix is like trying to kind of seem like, I don't know, spontaneous and sexy. Like she's going to surprise the cop, but he knows something's weird. He's like alarmed that she's there. And we don't know why.
Yeah.
But we start to hear these birds squawking outside. The cop is like hurrying and trying to put a bunch of things like back that she had got out. Like she had a bottle of wine. She had like a little, I don't know, some sort of dessert out. And he's hurrying up and trying to like put things away. And then that screeching starts. And then the loop situation starts for the cops. And we see that internal whatever pulsing thing that's happening again. And then Glasses Lady's there. And
I want to point out, it is interesting when these loops are happening. The people who are affected by the loops are aware that the loops are happening, but they can't stop them. So like when we saw Gretchen in the car with Ed before the car rolls, like Gretchen is aware something is wrong. And then Ed also becomes aware, but neither of them can stop it. Yeah. This one's even better because like you said, the cop is already aware something bad is about to happen. And so he can't stop himself. But Beatrix doesn't know something bad is about to happen. But while she's like in another room and drying her hair, and she has a line that she repeats, which is like, how you can make this up to me. And every time she says the line, it gets a little more panicked. She's a little more upset at having to repeat the line because she knows she doesn't want to be saying that over and over again.
Yeah. So she's like, the people who are stuck in it, they're aware of it, but they can't really do anything about it. And they don't seem to really understand it. Although in this instance, the cop seems to kind of understand what's going on. Beatrix definitely does not understand what's going on. But then we get a pretty solid little jump scare. And I'm usually not like a huge fan of like cheap jump scares, but I thought this was a pretty cool one. It kind of comes spontaneously, and it's the lady in the glasses, and she kind of pops up in the house. Now at this point, Lando like looks, he knows something's happening. He approaches the bungalow. He knows something's going wrong, but he's not really sure what's happening. He sees the glasses lady, right? She's there. Beatrix is like on the bed. There's some sort of like goo kind of thing that's like being extracted from, we don't really know where, but we think that maybe the glasses lady is like excreting some sort of goo or something. Beatrix is like rubbing her legs, like almost like she's itchy or something, and having like kind of a seizure. It is like I even wrote at this point, I was like, is this some sort of like impregnating thing? We don't know. We're not really meant to understand fully at this point, but there's some sort of thing that is this glasses lady is doing something involuntarily to Beatrix, and Beatrix is like powerless to stop it, or is perhaps in some sort of trance or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's really safe to assume when you're watching it, like, yeah, this is some sort of impregnation thing, because she obviously has Beatrix kind of like dead to rights to do whatever she wants to her. And because she's not killing her and not eating her, she's, reaching this end of goo towards between her legs. She's not even like, trying
although
to,
you don't,
she's not even trying to feed it to her. So it's kind of like, oh, okay, she's doing like impregnation stuff, I guess, which is weird.
You think so? Yeah, you think so, because she is kind of progressing towards her, like the lower half of her body. Gretchen walks in, glasses lady screeches, cop shoots a pistol at her that's like wrapped in a pillowcase, and it like, I assume it's like to suppress the sound, but then it like sets on fire the pillowcase. It's a really great disorienting scene.
Yeah.
She's like, what were we just watching? Gretchen's disoriented. I mean, we're meant to feel the same way Gretchen feels. Cop comes in. He clearly maybe knows a little bit more about what's happening, shoots a gun that's wrapped in a pillowcase, and it catches on fire. You're like, wait, what? It's just very disorienting in a fun way.
And you're shown like this image of like a pile of that gloop on the carpet, and there's like,
Gretchen's like examining just a weird pile of translucent goop on the carpet too.
And it's surrounded by rose petals, so like you're shown surrealist imagery in a way, but it's not surrealist in a way that it breaks from reality. You're just shown a bunch of disorienting weird things all at once, and you're like, wait, what?
Yeah. And we should say the rose petals were from Beatrix, who is planning this little romantic evening with the cop. So
right, yeah. So it's like everything adds up and makes sense, but also just like all of it at once feels weird, and you're like, ugh. The other thing I wanted to mention though is like when you see the Doris Day glasses lady, we can see her eyes reflecting behind the sunglasses. So she has this like incredible owl-like appearance, and we've already been getting like a lot of bird imagery at this point. Yeah. So like, it's like she's like a weird owl lady when we see her.
Yeah, she's got this like reddish glasses, or reddish like eyes, kind of almost shining through the sunglasses. They are these big kind of bug eye sunglasses, so definitely gives her that owl-like quality. The cop, which is Lando, he then rolls over Beatrix so assumedly so she's not going to choke on her vomit. But again, at this point, we're like, why are people vomiting? We don't really understand at all what's happening. Meanwhile, now Gretchen wakes up in the morning at her house, or at the house they're staying in, with her parents and Alma. And she's looking at this picture of her dad, and you're not really sure why, but she like hides it in her back pocket. Meanwhile, the parents are sitting on this like couch, and out in the yard, they're watching Koenig, who's kind of explaining something to Alma, like very something sketchy, like I'm going to show you something, and blah, 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 blah. And they seem very pleased by the whole thing, but we don't really know why, or we don't really know what he's going to tell Alma, but he's obviously very interested in Alma. This is when Gretchen confronts Koenig about, basically why there's no one in the reception after 10 p.m. Like, obviously there's people walking around puking. Like, maybe we should have somebody there. Why they have to live there to do this whole project. it gets a little heated, and with between him and Gretchen, and also Gretchen and her parents. And then Koenig abruptly just goes out and starts playing his little recorder. In the way we're like, it's just always just starts playing this recorder. We're like, what the fuck is going on here? And he says, it's because you're here because your family belongs here. And Gretchen's like, why would you say it like that? What the fuck? He just calls him out like, why are you being weird? I think she says like, that's a very fucking weird way of putting it.
Yeah. And also just the way she gestures with her, like with her good arm, because her bad arm's still in a sling.
Yeah.
But she gestures with her good arm like, are you seeing the same thing I'm fucking seeing? This is insane. Which so
this guy's fucking weird. Yeah.
Yeah. So two things I wanted to bring up about Gretchen at this point. One is she constantly is trying to escape the movie, because even though Koenig is the one who knows everything that's going on, Gretchen is the one that knows everything is wrong. And so like she is doing her best to exercise kind of the anti-final girl mentality of like, she's just trying to leave the movie. She's not interested really in what's going on, because she's not as tied to her family. She's not trying to save them.
She just wants to get the fuck up out of here.
Yeah.
The only thing that's keeping her here is she doesn't have any money for the train, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. She's 17 and in the Alps and has, no car. That's what's keeping her.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to point out is, on top of all the other bird imagery we're getting, like, she is very bird-like in a way as well, because her initial injury is running into a window like a dumb fucking bird.
That's true. I didn't think about that.
And her arm is like up in this sling, kind of like an injured bird would be. Like it's a bird that can't fly. So she's trapped.
Yeah.
Like it's a visual metaphor for her being trapped like a bird that cannot fly. She can't flap her wing.
That's a great call out. I will say, when we get to the end, there is a discussion that I want to have, which I thought was going to be a reveal that never happened. You could probably guess what that is, but I'm interested to see. I'm interested to hear your take on it.
Sure.
Too, once we get to the end, I don't want to spoil anything. But anyway, Koenig is like gaslighting Gretchen, making her look like a real dick in front of her parents. Then he mentions there's like a surprise package for Gretchen. Like, hey, it just showed up. And Gretchen seems alarmed, and the parents are like, oh, like they didn't really want to show her, I guess. It's Gretchen's mom's stuff. Dad confesses that he sold their house, back in the United States. Gretchen was planning on going back there. He sold it out from under her, basically, without telling her. And, she's devastated, and she punches Dad in the nose. She just fucking cold cocks him. And then she's like going through all the mom's stuff. She calls mom's voicemail again. Like she's going through it at this point. There's actually a tape on the answering machine there's actually a tape in the box of mom's stuff that is one of the tapes from the answering machine that Gretchen had left messages on. There's also a message on it from Alma, leaving a message via her voice app on her phone, basically saying like, Gretchen needs your help. Like, can you come help her? Alma doesn't know that Gretchen's mom is dead, but she is showing some compassion and showing that she has she worries about Gretchen and she wants to help her. So this was kind of a little bit of a heartwarming moment. And it really feels like the first time that Gretchen has kind of felt that, sisterly connection with her half sister Alma. So she's coming back out of her room after going through all the stuff. She slugged her dad in the nose, and she's going to get the car keys and leave. But Koenig is there, and he explains that Alma had a bad seizure, and hey, guess what? It's your fault again. Not the weird recorder's fault, right? It's your fault, Gretchen. You scared her. Koenig basically says, like, I want you the fuck up out of here. I will help. You leave a note saying you're bailing. I will literally give you money and drive you to the train station. And Gretchen, even though she hates him, is creeped out by him, is also like, okay, if he wants me gone, he can be my way out of here. I'll get the fuck up out of here. So he drives her over to his house to get money. He actually says, like, we can go to my house. I will give you some cash. So he drives her over to the house. Sketchy. That's not looking good. I don't think she's going to get the money. But there is a photo. This is the first time we see the cuckoo, bird, because there's a photo, like a print kind of it, like on his dashboard, or maybe it's on his keys. I forget.
I think it's on both, actually. But yeah, he has the cuckoo on his dashboard. It kind of almost looks like a stamp print that you would have.
Yeah. Yeah, like a painting, of it that you would see in like an old timey, science, encyclopedia or something. He explains that he's a preservationalist, and the cuckoo needs, human help to reproduce or something like that. So again, we're starting to like get a little, okay, now we're starting, the picture's starting to come into focus a little bit. They walk inside and they've got Lando there. He's on the ground. He's all bloody. The weird dick cop that was there with Beatrix has him, kind of at gunpoint on the ground. Koenig explains that he's actually not a cop anymore, that he was fired because he was investigating a case that he was personally involved in. So he's, he's trying to place like, oh, he's this like disgraced cop. Koenig goes, hey, come back in, hey, let me get you some cash. Come with me. Goes back, leads her to this room. They walk in. It's almost seems like a weird, institutional cell in like a fancy eccentric billionaire's house would be, somewhere where like maybe a Bond villain would trap Bond while he's being held, but also he's there to bone some chick. You know what I mean? Like, it just feels like somewhere that an eccentric millionaire might hold James Bond. Like, it's not maybe that crazy, but it's kind of a big wild room with like a sunken down area with a bed. It's kind of weird.
I mean, what it really is it's a swimming pool. It's an indoor swimming pool.
Oh yeah. You're right. It's definitely an indoor swimming pool.
Yeah, which is why.
Yeah, it's a drained swimming pool.
Yeah, it's a drain pool, and they have like a bunch of windows, which is like why there's all the windows in the room, because that would be like a bunch of natural light. As someone who likes to look at rich houses, I know what rich people do.
Yeah,
rich people do this. They put in a big sunken swimming pool and a bunch of windows, and they bring in a bunch of natural light to their swimming pool so they can swim during the off season when it fucking snows.
Yeah, you're right. You're 100% right. I feel stupid that I didn't picture exactly what it is. Imagine a fucking indoor swimming pool, but they've drained it and turned it into like a weird little bedroom at the bottom of the swimming pool. Yeah. But yeah, there's all these windows around it, and there's blinds up on all the windows, so it feels like this little like cell, know. Meanwhile, he turns around and there's Koenig. He sprays her with some little mister kind of thing in the face, and she like passes out, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, also in fairness, like the room is also just full on all brick, like it's all brick brutalism construction with like a little bit of that like kind of wood grain brutalism that you find in kind of the Nordic sensibilities of brutalism, where they're just like, everything is dark and gray, but also sometimes wood. We like hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. It's natural materials. Yeah. So she anyway, so Koenig goes outside, plays a little tune on his little ocarina of time out into the fucking forest like he keeps doing. And he wakes up, and she wakes up, Gretchen wakes up, and she's in the room, and Koenig's talking to her over like an intercom. And he explains that, hey, she will be of use, and that what he sprayed her with was pheromones, and gives us like cryptic explanation of ultimately what he's trying to accomplish. But we know he's doing some sort of breeding thing. We don't know how she's going to play in or how this is all meant to work out. But he then opens all the blinds, and as she's like the creepy lady like some creepy lady, we assume it's Glasses Lady at this point, creeping over towards the building, he then opens up one of the doors, and the creepy lady, comes out of the woods. Gretchen is like, sees her coming, rushes to like arm herself with a piece of broken wood. She's still injured. She's all fucked up. Her arm's all fucked up, all that stuff. And then she starts experiencing this little loop thing again. And it's actually not the glasses woman. It's a younger woman. It's actually the younger woman who bailed out of the garden, gate after, not having a good time upstairs in the opening scene. And she's like, oh, where did she go? Pops up behind her, gives her a quick skull crusher. And then you see the little pulsing on the neck. She kind of pops her on both sides of the head and like disorients her, which was a funny move. I thought. I kind of chuckled a little bit. There's like this brief kind of moment. So Gretchen's all like disoriented and fucked up at this point. She's kind of at the mercy of, this other woman who's acting very similar to Sunglasses Woman, but she's like a younger woman. They have this brief moment where they're kind of like sniffing each other out, like almost like she's kind of acting sexy toward her, or they like recognize each other or something. We're not really sure. And then Koenig over the loudspeakers, or over the intercoms, tells her stay focused, and then plays the little tune again. So you're like, what was about to happen, or what was what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It was just a weird little moment where you're like, obviously he wants her to do something specific to Gretchen at this point, or with Gretchen. So now Gretchen starts behaving like Beatrix did, rubbing her legs, kind of doing the whole seizing thing. The other girl, weird girl, has like juices on her hands and, but Koenig stops her before she does whatever she's about to do and comes in with the cop, and the cop that was with Beatrix, and Lando. Or no, I'm sorry. It's Lando and just another random cop. Who's dressed like that cop, like assumedly from the local police department.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a tray, and it's got like a wig on it. It's got like some other stuff on it. And she starts screeching at him, and he's treating her like a wild animal. He's like, like chill. You know what I mean? He puts the wig on her and explains that Gretchen's parents are building a new mating ground for this girl, the second girl. He makes mention of, what happened to Lando's wife was a mistake. I guess the other bird lady kind of got fired up because, her daughter left the nest this early. So this bird lady is, which I'm just calling them bird ladies at this point.
Yeah.
This bird lady is like, this bird lady is the daughter of Sunglasses Bird Lady. And I guess
is she? I thought she was. I don't know. I for some reason assumed she was the daughter of another bird lady, but yeah, well, it could be.
I think that what she says was he basically says like she left the nest prematurely, and that's what's making Sunglasses Bird Lady lose her shit, and ultimately that's what happened with like Lando's wife. It was like a mistake because the daughter left the nest early, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, Koenig explains that Lando is actually lucky because he's witnessed 3 quote laying ceremonies at this point, and explains, people might not ever see one, and and you don't, I guess you don't remember it oftentimes. Just doing eccentric billionaire stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I do want to remember the 3rd laying ceremony here, because I feel like, again, I thought this was all building up to a big reveal about Gretchen at the end.
No, so it was,
anyway,
it was his wife, the one with Beatrix, and then the one he just saw. Yeah. So it was just the one he just saw.
But I thought that one was stopped.
I mean,
I thought he stopped it prematurely.
Yeah, he stopped it prematurely, but like it's still, was happening. The other possibility is maybe he was a cop previously for the resort. and witnessed the one that we learned.
Yeah, I thought it was going to have been Gretchen's mom was a bird lady, and Gretchen is a bird lady too. Like, that's what I thought was going to happen. And maybe maybe it's meant to be vague, and perhaps that could be a reality, but I thought it was going to be explicitly laid out that we thought Alma was bird lady, and Alma is bird lady, but also Gretchen bird lady.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe.
But spoiler alert, it never at least it never explicitly happens.
Yeah.
You know, then he explains to Eric, who is the other cop, by the way, Beatrix cop, that he needs to go get Beatrix ready to conceive. And he's like shaking. He's obviously has his reservations about what's happening here. Then we hear a shot in the other room. Koenig sends the other rando cop that's with him out to check on it. And Gretchen starts choking on her puke. Koenig goes over, and you think he's going to flip her over on her side so she doesn't choke, kind of like what they've had to do a couple times up to this point. But instead, Koenig just tries to smother her with a pillow. And just as he's doing that, Lando pops in, shoots Koenig, and baby bird girl, the bird girl that was there, the younger bird girl. So now we're back to the hospital. Stepmom, which is Beth, is not feeling good. The doc gives her some sort of medicine, seems to be some sort of like sedative or whatever. And she's hearing some like weird bird calls too, which that never really like comes to fruition, but she's hearing bird noises. Lando explains, a little late at this point, that he's impregnating women. No shit, Dick Tracy. We kind of get the idea of like what's happening at this point.
This is where I was a little bit ahead of it, and I was like, oh yeah, Alma is Bird Girl, and so like
Alma's Bird Girl.
Yeah.
I think you're right. We kind of know at this point. We've been able to figure out he's interested in Alma because Alma's the next Bird Girl. But he does explain at this point that, and this was the part where I was like, when I heard, I was like, oh, okay. Cuckoo birds, they lay their eggs in the nests of other birds and then let those birds raise their offspring, apparently.
Right.
This is a thing cuckoo birds do, which kind of connects to what's happening here, but they explain it's like an evolution that has changed a little bit, like what's happening. We get a little bit more about it in a minute, but Gretchen's parents spent their honeymoon there at the resort. And we know that because that it's written on the back of the picture that Gretchen took from earlier. So what does that mean about Alma? Well, we get the idea that Alma is a dang old bird girl.
Yeah.
Lando takes Gretchen down to the hospital, and the doctor, they go in, and the doctor is doing like a voice memo type of thing. Dr. fucking Bonobo or whatever her name is. She's doing like a little voice recording thing and explains over the recorder that Alma actually surprisingly looks like Beth, but she's dang cuckoo bird person. And I guess like the biological mother actually comes back with this species. Like that's something that has changed in she calls whatever the genus and species of this is, which is like, I forget what they call it, but it's basically like dang old human bird people.
Yeah. It's like Homo cucararis or some shit like that.
Yeah. So it's human bird people, guys.
Yep.
And she basically says, in this evolution, this mutation, the biological mother, which is bird lady, will come back. And in which, glasses lady, we assume at this point. They are, I guess, Lando explains they're brood parasites, which means they don't impregnate. They physically implant eggs and then allow the mate of whoever they're implanting the eggs into to fertilize the eggs. So Alma, this was the confusing part. and this was obviously meant to throw us off a little bit. Beth, who is Gretchen's stepmom, is of some sort of Asian descent, right? So is Alma. Mm-hmm. She looks a lot like her mom. So we're like, well, that's obviously her real mom. But that apparently was a coincidence or something, because Bird Lady took one of her eggs. That's why she was all like down on her knees and got the goo all over her hands, because she basically takes one of her eggs and puts it in, like, artificially, implanting one of her eggs into this host. In this case was Beth. And then Gretchen's dad then fertilized that egg. So Alma is Gretchen's half sister, but Alma is Bird Lady's daughter.
Right.
Which that was my only thing I took a little exception to, because I was like, well, she looks fucking exactly like Beth. What are you talking about?
But that's what they're talking about. They're saying, like, part of the evolution is, like, now she also takes on some of the DNA. So, like,
traits or whatever.
Yeah. So if you, like, did a DNA test on her, you would find, who knows, all kinds of whack ass shit, but you would probably find like 3 parental DNAs in that you would find Beth's, Lewis's, and Bird Lady's. And you go, what's that third one?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. Yep. What is that?
Yeah. What's that red-eyed third one? Yeah. No, they do explain it. I was just like, that was a pretty hard, like, it would have actually, I think, been helpful if they made it so, like, Alma really didn't look like the mom. Like, I think that would have been better. But anyway, Alma is truly half sister of Gretchen, and Gretchen's starting to feel like a protective of her. Koenig's after her. She don't like Koenig, but also she heard the voicemail that Alma left her dead mom, basically saying, like, hey, Gretchen needs your help or whatever. Lando's like, that's not your sister, or whatever. So Lando's like, now we got to kill this fucking all these bird offspring. Koenig then shows back up at the hospital. He's still alive. He got shot, but he's still alive. He's all patched up. He says to Dr. Bonobo or whatever and her nurse that Gretchen and Alma have escaped, and basically says something about, oh, you've been making recordings behind my back, and shotguns both of them. Which is like, I think you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater there, right, dude. Like, he's really into, like, protecting all of this research, but then he just, like, blasts these people. Maybe he doesn't need them as much as we think, but they're watching Koenig through, like, this one-way glass, and he's, like, going up to Alma. And Gretchen wants to go in and save Alma. But Lando tries to stop her, and she stabs him. So she stabs Lando and then goes in and frees Alma. Meanwhile, Koenig is, like, in the basement burning, like, all of his documents or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's basically saying, like, shit's hit the fan here.
Right. Yeah. He figures the jig is up, so might as well just burn it all to the ground and then escape with his bird ladies.
Yeah, I'm going to get my bird ladies. I'm taking my bird ladies. I'm going the fuck out of here. The screeching starts again. Alma's, like, seizing. The looping starts. Glasses woman shows up. And then Gretchen, like, pretends to threaten Alma with her switchblade or her butterfly knife. And it kind of keeps Bird Lady at bay. And so she's like, oh, she's starting to learn a little bit about her. Alma ends up, like, pushing Gretchen and running away. And then they chase into this storage room. She's screeching. Alma uses finds some headphones in the storage room that can kind of protect her from being affected by the screeching. Meanwhile, there's this whole, like, little stare down scene between Gretchen and Screeching Glasses Bird Lady. Lando comes in and just topples all the, big storage shelves like dominoes and traps them both in there, I guess, which was kind of a weird move, but sure. All right.
I mean, at this point, we've entered a fun stage where everybody is after everybody. It's a triple threat match, or I mean, at this point, it's actually a fatal 4-way because Bird Lady is still in it.
I was just about to say, this is a fatal 4-way, sir. Yeah, because we got Bird Lady v. Gretchen v. Koenig v. Lando, and Alma is getting thrown in the mix a little bit here. It's almost like Alma is that time where wasn't it like Eddie Guerrero's like son was like up for grabs?
Yeah.
He was, remember that episode? Yes. I don't remember the exact storyline, but like Eddie Guerrero's son, like it was basically for the custody of Eddie Guerrero's son or something.
It was Rey Mysterio's son who Eddie Guerrero claimed to be the actual father of, and then they had basically his son as like I don't remember the actual match, so I don't remember if he was like hanging above the ring or some shit like that, or if they just like
it was something really wild like that,
going for like custody, like a custody piece of paper, whatever it was. But Rey Mysterio's son wrestles today. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, he's like top tier talent. Yeah.
Dominic Mysterio, but he has a mullet and a mustache like Eddie Guerrero and does the frog splash. So everybody's like, it really is Eddie's son.
Yeah. It's wild though, because he is so much like he doesn't have the build. I mean, I get obviously steroids were a big part of the game back then, but like he just doesn't have the build that Eddie had at all. No. Or the charisma or the wrestling abilities or anything like that. Basically, he's like second fiddle to what's her name? What's the like big like woman superstar? I don't watch a lot of WWE.
Oh
anymore,
but Rhea Ripley, but they broke up. So
Rhea Ripley. Okay, yeah, I know he was like Rhea Ripley's little fuck boy.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Alma escapes while the fatal 4-way is happening. Lando chases her out to shoot her, and then Koenig pops up and shoots at him, stopping Lando from shooting Alma. So Alma escapes off into the side door, whatever. Cuckoo Mom also escapes and starts doing the whole streaking thing. We get this like CGI mouth face thing that I thought was kind of unnecessary, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the things that was one of the few things I didn't like about this was the CGI on the face felt unnecessary at this point.
Yeah, I didn't love the CGI, and I didn't love just the overall like evolutionary thing. Like, okay.
Weird eyes. The eyes were cool. Fine.
I like some of the evolutionary stuff, but I just thought maybe they could have done, I don't know, something else. Because the other thing is that they have like no hair, like their hair is bad, and it's like,
yeah.
Well, why? I don't know. Why would the hair be bad? Like, why? That doesn't make sense as a Like if it's a sickly degenerate species that shouldn't survive. Okay, maybe that's what they're trying to put across, because their hair is bad, their skin is bad. But that kind of makes sense with like them being night predators, because like they have the eyes that glow in the dark and they're extra strong, which I don't know that would be the case. I was gonna say, why are they so strong and fast if they're like these weakly things? Yeah, if they're bird women, they should have like hollow bones, and you should be able to like just crack them in half, like immediately. That's why they have to hypnotize their prey so they don't get cracked in half like little hollow birds. Yeah, I wanted them to start flying. Spoiler alert: they don't fly. Don't fly. Piss me off. Anyway, she finally like finds Gretchen pinned under the thing. Starts streaking at her. Gretchen, kind of plays possum, and then eventually plugs her in the throat with her switchblade, with her butterfly knife. So at this point, she kind of chases her out a little bit, the bird mom, and then just bleeds out, dies in the hallway. Gretchen goes up, pulls her wig off, sees that, like you said, her hair's all fucking like not great. It's all falling out, wiry and shit. And yeah, she bleeds out on the floor. Meanwhile, this like whole shootout standoff thing is happening between Koenig and Lando still. Gretchen
he's like, I killed her or whatever. And Koenig's like, no, you didn't, bitch. And she throws out the bloody wig. And Koenig's like, obviously pretty, he's pretty pissed off that his bird mom's dead. Both of his bird moms are dead.
Mm-hmm.
Gretchen has this moment with Alma when they're like hunkered down in this closet, like kind of in this unescapable situation at the end of this like storage room, at the end of a larger room where like Koenig's on one side, Lando's on the other, and they kind of have this little sister connection moment. And Gretchen comes up with an idea and basically hollers out to Lando and says, like, you said you'd protect me no matter what. Is that still going to happen? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to hold my word on this. And she like kind of very smartly says, like, did you tell your wife you were going to protect her? Because you fucking didn't, bro, basically is what she's saying. Mm-hmm. And he gets very emotional, and basically she pits his emotions and his guilt about what happened to his wife against him, and saying like, you fucked your, you let your wife down. Don't let me down, bitch. And she knows. So now, as best as she can, she knows that Lando is not going to harm her, because he swore he's not going to. It's kind of on his wife's honor a little bit. Meanwhile, we know that Koenig will do anything to save Alma, because Alma's his last dang bird lady. So what Gretchen does is has like him basically puts Alma on like this little push cart, kind of like when the like art teacher would come into your room in second grade, and you have all the art supplies on there and stuff. Got one of those kind of, and Gretchen puts Alma on it, and they like kind of embrace each other, so that Alma's back is facing Koenig and her back is facing Lando. So they're she's using each other as human shields for the appropriate person who doesn't want them dead, which is I thought was a pretty clever little scene.
It's really clever. I feel like maybe it's because I've just been watching a number of John Woo movies recently, but this felt like some sort of John Woo standoff where like they're each leveraging somebody else against themselves, but they got to protect themselves. Mm-hmm. But then also, Koenig and you keep calling him Lando, but I know him as Henry. Like
wasn't Henry Lando or Henry Landa or something? It might be.
I always had it as Henry in my notes, but yeah, Henry and Koenig are faced off against each other, and they would shoot each other if the two girls weren't in between them. So yeah, I don't know why. Right. It just felt like a John Woo standoff, and I was super into it. I was like, yeah, this fucking rules. This is smart.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was really cool. Didn't see it going that way. Yeah. So Alma ends up like they get to the end of the like room, and they're kind of at an impasse. And Alma covers Gretchen's ears and does the whole like voice shriek thing just to stun the boys enough where they can escape. And then you hear gunshots. Assume Lando and Koenig shot each other, right? Mm-hmm. We get to this little thing. It's like kind of front door scene where like they made it to the front door. After all that, like Gretchen is in a bad way. She's like limping, her arms broke. She's all fucked up, right? And she goes to the door and pushes on it, and like nothing happens. And she's just like, well, I guess I'm going the other way. Turns around, and then Alma just goes and like presses on the door and pushes it right open, which was kind of a fun little levity scene there at like the pinnacle. They walk out in the parking lot. Ed's there. Ed has since escaped the hospital. Gretchen collapses on the ground. Cut to Ed's driving, and we've got Gretchen and Alma in the back seat escaping, presumably to Paris with Ed. So that is, and that's the end of the movie. And you are, basically like, okay, she picked her half sister over, she over herself and decided, hey, she might be a dang bird person. Maybe she's not, but she's my sister, and I'm gonna save her, whatever, I guess. what's going to happen, I guess, is going to happen. That's basically it. So that is the end. Credits roll. So the other thing that I was going to say that I thought was going to happen was that there was going to be a reveal that Gretchen's mom was a bird person, and Gretchen was a bird person. But no, we don't really get that, because they were talking about like, the 3 impregnations or whatever, and they stopped one of them prematurely. So I don't know. I just thought it was going to be, I thought they were setting up the fact that Gretchen may or may not be a bird person.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you say they stopped the one prematurely, but they stopped the other prematurely as well. So like the only one, only one that Henry actually saw was a part of was the one on his wife, and that killed her. So like he's never seen like one that like has gone all the way through. I would say like there's clues that like, oh, maybe Gretchen is a bird person too, because like I already mentioned, all the bird imagery associated with her, and her mom is dead. Like Beth was dying, because as the bird mom gets closer to the surrogate mom, like there's just a competition there, and then the bird mom has control over the surrogate mom in a way that like sends her into seizures and kills her. So it's possible that was a clue that's what happened to Gretchen's mom, since we don't know what happened to her. But
true,
I think that's just meant to left to be confusion about it, because the other part of it is, why can Gretchen talk?
Good point.
Unless she's like a failed bird person.
Yeah. I guess that's the thing, is like, it would have probably been lame if they would have been like, well, she's half a bird person, but she's got different rules than the rest of the bird people. Like, that might have been lame. Yeah. I just wonder if there was
that is something Koenig was like striving for, though. He was saying like every iteration we attempt produces new results, and we are trying to we're trying to do evolution on our own. Yeah, is what he's saying. Like he's basically doing GMO bird people. Yeah, and he's doing the selective versions of like what works and what doesn't. So Alma works because she looks like she apparently is going to keep her hair. Yeah, as opposed to the other girl who had bad fucking skin and her hair was all over the place, and she needed new wigs all the time because she was bleeding on them.
Well, even her bird doctor had long hair, right? Like super long hair. Yeah.
So they all need fucking.
Did I say bird doctor? I meant bird daughter.
Bird daughter.
There was a bird doctor involved as well, but yeah. I would be surprised if there wasn't some incarnation of this story or script that did have Gretchen being a bird person.
Sure, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it just they were like, maybe not. Maybe it's too predictable. Maybe it's too heavy-handed. Maybe whatever. But
yeah, like maybe there's a version of the script where like Gretchen is deaf, and so she but she still talks. Like, I don't know. The other interesting interaction is between the younger bird person and Gretchen, where she's pauses and doesn't go for like the impregnation. She is having some sort of conflict of instinct, and like, is that instinct to leave Gretchen alone because she's already a bird person, or is that instinct the human instinct of just wanting to do lesbo shit with her?
Yeah. It seemed a little sexually charged. At first I was like, well, did she just recognize her?
Yeah.
Because like that's her half bird sister or something. But then no, it did feel like they were about to gay out on each other.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So like, is it one or the other? And I'll put it out there, on top of all the other bird stuff we get in this, there's also a lot of lesbian birds out there, including seagulls and albatrosses. So that's a very interesting, just kind of an interesting hitch that, again, they make Gretchen sort of a bird person because she runs into windows like a fucking bird and is a lesbian like a bird. But, you know, who knows?
Yeah, dude, birds. 2 things I know about birds. They are not real and they are gay.
Yeah. Why would the government program the birds to be gay?
I don't know. Ask. Why are the birds gay? They're not even real. Why would they make the unreal? The fake birds gay.
It's just woke poisoning. That's how they're trying to poison us with their libtard agenda by programming the birds to be gay. So we see gayness in birds and we go, well, it must be natural because the birds are gay.
Yes, exactly.
I hope everybody knows. Guys, we're joking.
We're kidding. We make fun of people who say shit like that. Alex Jones is a piece of shit. I fucking hate that guy. But he's funny. I mean, funny in like a total piece of shit way. Dan said, do immigrants eat the birds that are pets? Yes, they absolutely do.
I eat the birds.
JD Vance told me that while he was fucking his couch or whatever. Goddamn couch fucker. Anyway, yeah, weird, fun, cool movie, great characters. Like I said, great. Really, all you need is a fucking great. I mean, this is not all you need. This is a hard thing to accomplish. Great protagonist, great antagonist. That's all you fucking need, right? That's the perfect, like, Gretchen, great character. You loved her. She was cool. She was funny. She was kind of awkward. Obviously she's very attractive person. And then you have bad guy, smarmy, fucking weird, creepy dickhead, in Koenig. We talked about how we all are boned up about Dan Stevens. Love the interaction between the two. And like I said, great, some good supporting. I really like the guy who played
Henry
Lando. Henry. I keep putting Lando because they said like Officer Lando or something earlier. It could be that.
Yeah. I just had it.
It might not be. It might be a totally different name. I just started calling him Lando, but now I'm looking on IMDb and it does have him as Henry.
Yeah. But yeah, when
tell me if it's just not Lando at all. I just made that up.
It's so funny. When he does start to lose his shit though, it's really fucking great. Like when he's just
when he's doing the laughing thing.
When he's scream laughing at Koenig because the bird lady's dead, it's just so fucking unhinged and great.
Yeah, he's fucking good too. We should call that out. He is Jan Bluthert. Oh my god, the most German name I've ever heard in my life. Jan Bluthert.
Jan Bluthert.
Yeah. What's his deal? He's got.
I guess he was in Lose, so that's
okay.
Where
there you go. Oh, he played the doctor in Lose. Love it. Yeah, he's got. I'm trying to see if there's anything. He's got 6 acting credits. Feels like a middle-aged dude, but has only been acting for less than a decade, at least in terms of IMDb credits. But yeah, he's fucking great in this too. So I love this movie. Honestly, I was into it the whole damn time. It was weird. It was cryptic. It was, there was a mystery for you to kind of solve. There was some creepy moments. I wouldn't call it a super scary movie by any means, but I thought the scene of them running, her running after her on the bike when she had her headphones on, she didn't know was a pretty fucking cool, creepy scene. And then just the whole, like, if you're into, like you said, the institution core and the helplessness of like you being up against some sort of like weird entity in this instance that is Koenig and his henchmen, you're going to like it. I could see this being a somewhat polarizing movie, but I liked it. I really liked it. I would not be surprised at the end of the year this found its way onto my top 10 for the year.
Sure. Yeah. It's not like, the film isn't necessarily built on a cult because it's not like they're not worshiping anything higher. They're not worshiping like a higher being, but what they are doing is like they all have they're all gathered there for one purpose, and the purpose is the bird people. So like that's why it's like institution core and not cult or occult horror. You know, they're in these sterile environments with all this analog equipment, and they're studying something weird, and the hypnosis has, you know, a hold on some people. Like I believe there's like a deeper kind of like hypnosis to this, where like Lewis and Beth were hypnotized from their years of exposure to Koenig and the resort.
Sure.
And like the cops are a little bit hypnotized, but they're not so hypnotized that they don't, like the one cop doesn't try to save Beatrix. I think the hypnosis works in that way of like, it can't force you to do anything you don't want to do. So
yeah,
they're that scene.
Yeah, it's not like he just has some zombies at their bidding or anything like that.
Right. So there's that scene where he's escorting Gretchen, and he's telling her like, yeah, we're just going to leave. We're going to go. And she seems like really, really out of it. And she also has kind of like the missing time. Like she doesn't know that Alma had a seizure and is back in the hospital, but she's very pliant to go with Koenig because he's telling her all the things that she wants to hear. And like, even in the car, he's telling her, he's like, yeah, this is the common cuckoo bird. And then she just repeats the word common for no reason. But it's because she's kind of like under that hypnosis, I think.
She's out of it.
Yeah. And she's just like, common bird. Yes. Leave.
Yeah. It's more than a cult horror. It's really just a classic mad scientist, you know, flick in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Fun movie. Dan said in the Discord chat here, was the did the ending potentially have left things open up to a sequel? I actually thought that too, Dan, especially with the vagueness at the end, not just the open-ended of like, is Alma going to turn into a dang old bird person? Could she be a bird person? Like, yes, that in and of itself does a little bit, but I was like, wow, interesting that it feels like they left a lot of clues. Again, to me, I mentioned a couple times, it felt like there were a lot of clues that were going to suggest that Gretchen was a bird person, but they never said it. I mean, I'd be really surprised if this got a sequel, because it just feels like more of like a singular kind of project.
Yeah.
But hey, if there was, I would watch it. But like, the reveal is up, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know that there would be enough ammunition for a sequel, but I think it just was intentionally left vague.
Yeah. In order to do a sequel, it would have to wind up being like an Aliens to the Alien, because like the Alien is all about revealing how the alien works and how it, you know, evolves and transforms. You know, the Terminator is about like revealing the Terminator and all the timeline shit and all that stuff. Now you would just have to make a straight up like Invasion of the Bird People type of film. You know,
straight up crazy action sci-fi. Yeah. Armies of bird people. It would be funny to take this little tiny, small, almost like, you know, I wouldn't say art house horror, but quirky, you know, kind of movie, and then turn it into a giant epic sci-fi battle of bird people. You know,
you could frame it almost a little bit like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, in which you start revealing like there's way more bird people among the population than you actually thought there was. And like, everybody's a fucking bird person. You didn't know it.
Yeah.
And there's a bird militia. There's a bird Costco. And you just didn't know.
They're different, Costco. There's different types of birds. Ron said in the chat, just a bunch of blue-footed boobies just gooing around.
Yeah.
Just out there with their damn goo hands. But yeah, it's like it's Planet of the Apes now, right? Like there's different types of apes, right, in the Planet of the Apes universe. Yeah. But now it's just like different birds. So there is like the elder bird people are owls, you know what I mean? And you know, and other bird things.
Other bird things.
I can't think of any other type of birds that would do specific jobs. I mean, the thing I immediately got stuck in my head is about how that one bird is the garbage disposal at the Flintstones house.
Oh yeah, it's a living.
That's a fictional type of bird. Anyway, guys, that was Cuckoo from 20 and 20. Cuckoo from 20 and 24. I say check that son of a bitch out. I did go pay to rent it. I think on Amazon Prime. There might be some better places to rent or buy it, but I would assume this movie got like a fairly limited theatrical release. Is that accurate? I didn't look it up.
Yeah, it wasn't in theaters for a long time. I think it was there for like 2 or 3 weeks. So yeah.
Yeah, but support the filmmakers if you can afford it to go out and find this movie and pay to rent it or buy it or something like that. Preferably not, fucking Jeff Bezos like I did. But I also had some credits. I get them credits.
Like them credits.
Hungry for them credits on there. So I got a portion off this. But like I said, fun movie, absolutely worth checking out. I'm sure it'll be hitting some other streaming services here too soon. Guys, let me remind you one more time. We've got one more Minisode next week where I think we're talking about how we're going to do a little bit of a list type of thing, right? Are we going to run with that idea next week?
Yeah. Let me pitch something to you off the mic. We can go with that. We can go with that idea, but I have another list idea. I'll just pitch it to you off mic, and then we'll see which one happens. Yeah, it won't be a movie. We'll confirm it won't be a movie next week.
Yeah, we're not going to do a single movie. We're going to do kind of a list, like our top 5 favorite thises. I'm just making that up, but something like that, right? We're going to do one of those types of episodes. We like to do a few more of those around spooky season. People always dig those. But the following episode, that first Monday in October, the big show, if you will, for spooky season. Remember, we are going to be talking about, Steve's going to be talking about Dark Harvest. I'm going to be talking about Baron Von Laffo's Halloween Spookathon, which I will confirm exists before now and then. And then Bigfoot Ben is coming back on the podcast to guest for the Showdown episode in October. He's going to be talking about Bobby Zombo's Halloween 2, you guys. Go out and watch those fucking movies between now and then, so you'll be well informed to hear us blabber on about them for an extended period of time. Steve, anything else? Oh, what's Psychro from? What is that from?
Earthworm Jim.
Yeah, Earthworm Jim. That's right. I knew it was a video game thing. I don't know how that got in the chat. I'm just catching up on discussions in the Discord chat.
Yeah, the Discord went somewhere else while you were propping everything up.
while I'm taking care of business over here, these dildos in the Discord are just over here talking about fucking Earthworm Jim nonsense. Anyway, anything else, Steve, I should mention before we wrap up this here minisode?
No, that's it. Don't go watch the Crow remake. Watch Cuckoo, the other bird movie.
Yes, that's true. If you're looking for a hot tippy on a brand new birdie flick this late September weekend, do Cuckoo, do not do the Crow. All right, guys, for the Halloween's Forever crew, I'm Brian.
And I'm Steve.
All right.
Cuckoo.
Bye.